Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here again to really drill down into some key strategic material and pull out the intel you can actually use.
That's right.
Today, we are looking at a really, really high-stakes moment for companies scaling up, specifically for food and beverage businesses.
Yeah.
You know, going from that exciting growth stage to being a serious mass-market player, it's the dream, right? But wow, is it packed with risk?
It really is. And we found this guide, essentially a strategic blueprint, that claims to be a shortcut for CEOs scaring down a massive facility expansion.
Okay, so that's our source material.
Yeah.
And it comes from the Fulton County idea, the SCI.
Exactly. And our mission today for this deep dive is really to unpack why this kind of expansion is so uniquely difficult.
Right.
The source promises to cut through that complexity, the guesswork. We want to extract those critical success factors.
And maybe more importantly.
And map out the minefield, as they call it.
Yeah.
Those common pitfalls that just, sink projects.
Mm-hmm. The goal being, if you're a CEO listening, to find that path to scaling without burning out or blowing the budget. That's the promise anyway.
That's the promise.
Okay, let's unpack that complexity. Why is scaling food production so uniquely tough? I mean, it's not just like opening a second office, is it? Or even, say, a standard factory.
Not at all. It really boils down to this brutal combination. You've got razor-thin margins on one side.
Always.
And incredible regulatory sensitivity on the other.
Mm.
The source is crystal clear. Because those margins are so tight, any delay can be catastrophic.
Right. Like a 6-month permitting issue isn't just annoying.
It can burn through your cash reserves like wildfire.
Yeah.
You could lose key distribution contracts you fought hard to get.
Mm.
It forces CEOs into these really high-stakes situations where things they can't directly control suddenly become absolute deal killers.
Okay, deal killers. Let's talk about those specifically. The source lists, 6 of them? These are the points where things really fall apart, often before you even break ground.
Yeah, 6 big ones. And you're right, it often happens regardless of how strong the actual business model is.
So what's first?
Well, the first 2 are about the physical site and infrastructure. Number 1, limited cold storage availability. It's a specialized need, and there just isn't that much of it out there.
And that bumps right up against number 2.
Exactly. Misaligned zoning. The perfect spot might not be zoned for heavy food processing, especially the cold storage aspect. And trying to rezone, that's a long, uncertain, and expensive battle.
Okay, so space and zoning. What's next?
Wow.
Utilities.
You got it. Number 3 is utility uncertainty. This one's huge. The specs you get up front about power, water, wastewater, they're often unclear.
Or just plain wrong.
Or just wrong. And fixing that, suddenly you're looking at unplanned trenching, maybe needing a whole new substation, massive costs you didn't budget for.
Before you've even poured the foundation.
Precisely. Then number 4, the one everyone dreads. The permitting nightmare. It's often incredibly fragmented. You're dealing with multiple agencies, local, county, state, maybe federal, and they're not talking to each other. There's little coordination.
And for food, it gets even worse, right? That's the 5th killer.
You have the regulatory burden. This isn't like making widgets. You have layers of food safety regulations on top of everything else.
And they can conflict sometimes.
They often conflict, or they're outdated, creating these moving targets for compliance. It causes constant friction with your contractors, with inspectors. It's exhausting.
Okay, so site, utilities, permits, regulations.
Yeah.
What's left? People.
The people. Number 6, the labor gap. And this is critical. It's not just about finding any workers.
Right.
It's the lack of a ready, certified pipeline for food safety trained labor. QC techs, sanitation crews, compliance managers.
People who understand HACCP, GMPs.
Exactly. General manufacturing labor is one thing. Finding and retaining specialized food-grade talent is a whole different challenge in most markets.
And all of this together just puts immense pressure on the money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which leads to the final constraint, capital constraints. Every single dollar is under pressure to show immediate ROI, and these unexpected hits just kill your budget and maybe the whole project.
Wow. Okay, that paints a pretty stark picture. It sounds less like site selection and more like navigating an obstacle course blindfolded.
That's not far off, honestly.
So this is where the FCIDO guide makes a really interesting turn. It doesn't just list the problems, it offers a kind of risk assessment tool.
Yeah, it lays out 5 critical questions. Questions a CEO absolutely must ask, must get answered before committing to any site.
Yeah.
It's about moving beyond, is the land cheap?
Right. Challenging that whole concept of shovel-ready.
Exactly. Because shovel-ready can mean a lot of different things, many of them not actually ready for your specific complex needs. These questions force you to audit the real risk profile.
So what's the first question? The absolute baseline check.
It cuts right through the marketing fluff. Is the site actually shovel-ready for a food facility, or is it just being shovel-marketed as ready for anything?
Meaning, are there hidden surprises waiting?
Hidden earthwork, unexpected environmental remediation, utility capacity that isn't quite what was promised? If there's hidden work, your timeline and budget are shot from day one.
Okay, that makes sense. And the second question tackles that bureaucratic delay we talked about.
It does, head on. The question is, will my team, or will I, spend the next 6 months battling local zoning boards and planning committees?
Because that 6 months isn't just buffer time.
No. That's 6 months of cash burn, potentially lost contracts, maybe your investors getting nervous. For a growing food company, that delay can be fatal.
All right. Third question must loop back to labor then.
It does.
Yeah.
Is there genuine access to trained, specialized labor? We're talking food safety experts, QA/QC managers, skilled logistics people.
Or are you just getting access to a general labor pool that you'll have to train from scratch at a huge expense and effort?
Precisely. It's a massive difference in operational ramp-up and risk.
Okay. And question 4 moves to the money, the incentives, but with a twist, right? It's not just about the sticker price.
Right. The guide pushes you to ask, are the incentives meaningful? Are they actually usable for my project? And are they transparent?
What does usable mean there?
Well, like a huge tax break that only kicks in 10 years down the road might sound great, but it's far less valuable than immediate savings on sales tax for your multi-million-dollar equipment purchase right now.
Got it. Impact versus promise.
Exactly. Or relief on the mortgage recording tax when you're financing the facility.
All right.
Things that help your cash flow now.
Okay. Makes sense. And there's a fifth question, one that looks beyond the build phase.
Yes, and I think this one's often overlooked, but is crucial for the long term. It's about community alignment.
Meaning?
Will the local economic development folks, the community leaders, will they genuinely champion your success after the permits are signed and the ribbon is cut?
Or will they basically ghost you once the initial deal is done?
Exactly. Are they partners for the long haul, helping you navigate local issues, find vendors, connect with resources? Or are you on your own once construction starts? That speaks volumes about operational peace of mind.
Okay, so those 5 questions are powerful. They essentially form a checklist of the biggest risks.
A critical risk assessment, yeah.
So if that's the problem set, the solution has to be about finding a location, or rather a partner, that has already addressed these things.
That's the argument the FCID makes for itself. They position their offering not just as land, but as a pre-solved problem set.
Okay, let's look at their specific claims. How do they say they tackle these risks directly? Starting with the site itself, the cold storage and zoning problem.
Well, they don't just say sites available. They explicitly offer truly cold-ready sites.
Meaning what specifically?
Meaning the sites they market for food processing are already zoned correctly for heavy industrial food use, including cold storage. They're prepped, the basic infrastructure is confirmed, it removes that massive initial hurdle and uncertainty.
Okay, that addresses points 1 and 2. Now, what about the permitting nightmare? They make a pretty bold claim about speed there, right?
They do. A commitment to 60 to 90-day fast-track permitting for qualified projects.
Hold on. 60 to 90 days. For a complex food facility, that sounds almost too good to be true. My CEO alarm bells are definitely ringing. How is that even possible? What's the catch? Where does the CEO get burned if that timeline slips?
And that skepticism is totally fair. It sounds unbelievable if you're used to the standard process.
Right.
But the way the source explains it, the speed comes from coordination and pre-solution, not from cutting corners on safety or environmental checks.
Oh, okay.
They claim to have already done the heavy lifting before you even submit your detailed plans. The major time sinks, the zoning variances, the primary utility confirmations, the initial environmental reviews are largely resolved up front by the development authority itself working with state agencies.
Ah, so the 60-90-day clock starts after those big, messy, unpredictable parts are already handled, when you provide your architectural plans?
That seems to be the model, yes. The idea is that the fragmented political battles and foundational feasibility checks are taken off the CEO's plate. It reduces that risk of getting bogged down for months in bureaucratic limbo.
Okay, that reframes it significantly. If those huge variables are already locked down, then maybe you can plan around a firmer deadline for the final permits.
Interesting.
It's a different approach to readiness.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the money side, the incentives? You mentioned usability and transparency earlier. Do they give specifics?
They do. They list clear, high-impact financial benefits designed to address that immediate capital pressure,
Such as?
such as a claimed 50% property tax break in year one. That's significant upfront relief.
Okay.
Plus an 8% sales tax exemption on construction materials, equipment, furnishings that can add up to huge savings on a major facility build-out.
Yeah, easily millions on a big project.
Right. And a 1% mortgage recording tax waiver when you finance the facility. Again, hitting that immediate capital need. These are presented as transparent, easy-to-calculate benefits.
All right, so they claim to address the site, the permits, and the initial capital hurdles. But like we said, scaling isn't just about the build. What about that ongoing headache, the specialized workforce? This is where they pivot to the long-term partnership idea. It's not just about the physical stuff.
So what support do they offer for that labor gap?
They talk about workforce partnerships. And crucially, this seems to go beyond just posting jobs or hosting a job fair.
How so?
They emphasize creating custom training pipelines, working with local colleges, vocational schools.
To develop programs specifically for food safety, for QC roles, for specialized logistics needed in food.
Exactly. That's the key distinction. They're not just pointing you to the existing general labor pool. They claim to actively help build the specific skilled workforce your facility will need.
Okay, that directly tackles the specialized labor gap issue, and it also addresses that fifth risk you mentioned, the ghosting risk.
It seems designed to. They talk about ongoing local support well beyond the ribbon cutting.
Like what kind of support?
Things like continued help with utility coordination if issues arise, active assistance with recruitment and hiring processes as you grow, and maybe really valuable for a company new to the area making introductions to local vendors, suppliers, service providers.
Right, tapping into that local network. That institutional knowledge can save a lot of time and costly mistakes in the first year or two.
For sure. It's about being an operational partner, not just a real estate broker.
And the source materials also mention the broader context of Fulton County, New York, right? Existing infrastructure.
Yes, they list specific sites they consider shovel-ready under this model: Tryon Technology Park, Johnstown Industrial Park, Crossroads Business Park, places they say already have the industrial zoning and infrastructure capacity.
And other regional players.
They definitely stress leveraging the wider ecosystem. Partners like the Fulton County Center for Regional Growth, the Fulton Montgomery Regional Chamber of Commerce, using them for local insights and connections.
And they even point outwards for funding help.
Yeah, they specifically recommend looking into programs like Grow NY and the CREA Food and Ag Entrepreneurship Programs, suggesting resources for accessing capital and getting founder support, which is vital for companies at this stage.
Okay, so that's a lot of information, a lot of claims about solving these complex problems. How does someone actually use this if they're looking at multiple locations?
Well, the guide itself offers a very practical tool for that exact situation: the Food Facility Expansion Scorecard.
Ah, okay. What does that do?
It essentially distills all this advice down into a structured comparison framework. For anyone listening who's trying to weigh Site A against Site B against Site C, this seems incredibly useful.
So it forces you to compare them on these critical factors, not just cost per acre.
Exactly. It lists 7 critical factors based on everything we've discussed. Things like verified utility readiness, the exact zoning fit for food processing, the guaranteed permitting speed or lack thereof, the transparency and usability of the incentives.
So you can score different locations side by side on the things that actually cause projects to fail.
Precisely. It helps you move beyond comparing apples and oranges, a cheap piece of land with huge risks, versus maybe a slightly more expensive site where the major risks are already mitigated by a coordinated partner. It's about comparing partnership risk versus going it alone.
Makes sense.
So if we kind of wrap this all up, synthesize this deep dive, what's the core takeaway for a leader looking at expansion?
What would you say?
I'd say it's that successful scaling, especially in the demanding food sector today, seems to hinge less on just finding a site, any site,
Right.
and much more on finding a location and, critically, a partner that offers pre-solved problems. The real value proposition isn't cheap land, it's peace of mind.
Delivered through things like that coordinated zoning, the
Yeah.
confirmed utilities, the integrated labor pipeline.
Exactly. Removing those big 6 deal killers from the equation before they even have a chance to blow up your project.
That framework itself, the shift From just selling land to selling guaranteed readiness, that feels like the central insight here.
I agree.
If infrastructure hurdles and permit delays really can be reliably crushed down to 60 or 90 days, as claimed here, well, that's a fundamental challenge to how industrial development usually works. It's slow, uncertain.
It really is.
But that speed, that readiness, it actually services a new question. A provocative thought maybe for you, the listener, if you're that growing CEO. If these foundational challenges, the site, the permits, the basic utilities are taken off the table, what becomes the next hidden deal killer? What's the next major barrier that this ready equation hasn't solved yet?
That's interesting. What are you thinking?
Well, could it be something like hyper-specific international food safety coding that differs from U.S. standards?
Yeah.
Or maybe extreme volatility in global logistics for a key ingredient? Or perhaps the cost instability of some highly specialized input that the local area just doesn't have?
Yeah, the next layer of complexity.
Exactly. What factor isn't on that scorecard yet, but could still make or break your specific expansion? It forces you to think, what would my custom scorecard look like beyond these 7 basics? What's my unique vulnerability?
That's a crucial question for any CEO to ponder before they sign on the dotted line, even with a seemingly perfect site.
Definitely something to think about.